You see, we live in a world where food is everywhere, yet true nourishment is rare. We eat not because we're hungry, but because the clock tells us it's time. And in doing so, we've forgotten one of the most powerful healing tools nature ever gave us: fasting. Fasting is not starvation, it's restoration. It's the body's way of cleaning house, repairing, renewing, and rebalancing. Every time you fast, you activate a deep intelligence within your body, one that has been waiting patiently for you to get out of the way and let it do its job. Fasting resets metabolic health and improves insulin sensitivity by allowing the body to return to its natural rhythm of energy balance, something that has been deeply disrupted by modern eating habits. In today's world, we eat from the moment we wake up until the moment we go to sleep. Breakfast, snacks, lunch, coffee breaks, dinner, and late-night treats. The body rarely gets a break from processing food. Constant eating keeps insulin levels elevated, forcing the body to store energy rather than use it. Over time, this leads to a state of insulin resistance, where the cells no longer respond effectively to insulin signal, causing the pancreas to work harder and release even more insulin. This becomes the root cause of many modern health problems, from obesity and type 2 diabetes to cardiovascular disease and chronic fatigue. When we fast, something remarkable happens. Insulin levels drop, giving the body permission to start using stored fat as fuel. The metabolic machinery begins to shift from burning glucose to burning fat, a transition that restores flexibility to our metabolism. This metabolic switch is vital for maintaining stable energy levels, reducing cravings, and improving overall metabolic efficiency. Fasting teaches the body how to efficiently access stored energy, which is the way humans have survived for thousands of years during times of scarcity. This is not new science. It is ancient wisdom rediscovered and now confirmed through modern research. The moment insulin levels begin to fall, the body activates pathways that were previously shut down during the constant fed state. One of these key pathways is lipolysis, the breakdown of fat into fatty acids that can be used for energy. As fat stores are mobilized, the liver begins to produce ketones, powerful molecules that serve as an alternative fuel for the brain and muscles. Ketones are not only efficient sources of energy, but also signaling molecules that reduce inflammation, enhance brain function, and improve mitochondrial performance. People often report clearer thinking, better focus, and a sense of calm during fasting periods because the brain thrives on ketones, which provide steady and clean energy without the spikes and crashes caused by constant glucose fluctuations. Fasting also improves insulin sensitivity by resetting the relationship between insulin and the cell receptors. When insulin is constantly elevated, the receptors on cell membranes become desensitized, much like how a person becomes numb to noise in a loud environment. When fasting occurs and insulin levels fall, these receptors have a chance to reset. Over time, the body becomes more responsive to smaller amounts of insulin, meaning the pancreas doesn't need to work as hard. This improved sensitivity helps stabilize blood sugar levels, reduce fat storage, and prevent the onset of insulin resistance-related diseases. It's like tuning a musical instrument that has been out of sync for too long. Once it's tuned, the entire system functions in harmony again. Another powerful aspect of fasting is its impact on the hormone leptin, the body's master regulator of hunger and satiety. Chronically elevated insulin levels can cause leptin resistance, leading to constant hunger, even when the body has sufficient energy stored as fat. During fasting, insulin and leptin levels both decrease, and the brain begins to respond more accurately to hunger and fullness signals. Over time, this restores a natural rhythm to eating. You eat when you are truly hungry, not because of emotional triggers or habitual cues. This restoration of hormonal balance contributes to effortless weight management and reduced cravings, allowing the body to find its natural equilibrium. Fasting also influences the gut microbiome, which plays a vital role in metabolic health. Constant feeding and high sugar diets encourage the growth of harmful bacteria that thrive on glucose and inflammation. When fasting, the gut environment changes. Harmful bacteria diminish while beneficial species that support metabolic and immune health begin to flourish. This rebalancing improves nutrient absorption, reduces inflammation, and further supports insulin sensitivity. In essence, fasting helps reset the gut, which in turn communicates more effectively with the brain and the endocrine system, forming a powerful feedback loop for improved metabolism. Modern studies confirm that even short-term fasting, such as intermittent fasting or time-restricted eating, can produce measurable improvements in insulin sensitivity within just a few weeks. These changes occur not because of calorie restriction alone, but because of the hormonal and cellular shifts that fasting triggers. The body becomes better at managing energy, less dependent on constant food intake, and more resilient against stress. People who fast regularly often notice that they no longer experience the mid-afternoon energy crash or the desperate need for constant snacks. Instead, they feel stable, alert, and energized throughout the day because their metabolic system has regained its natural flexibility. Fasting, in its simplest form, allows the body to remember how it was designed to function, alternating between feeding and fasting, between storage and utilization. This balance is essential for optimal metabolic health. Every fasting window is an opportunity for the body to repair, detoxify, and regain its rhythm. It's not deprivation. It's restoration of metabolic intelligence that was lost in the noise of modern living and the constant availability of food. Autophagy is one of the body's most intelligent survival mechanisms, a self-cleansing process that activates when we fast. The word itself means self-eating. But in truth, it is self-renewal, the body's way of recycling damaged cells, proteins, and organelles to maintain internal health and efficiency. When the body is constantly fed, it is busy digesting, storing, and processing nutrients, leaving little time for deep internal maintenance. But when we stop eating for a while, energy that was once used for digestion is redirected toward repair. The body begins to identify old, malfunctioning components and breaks them down for raw materials that can be reused to create new, healthy cells. This process is not only efficient, but also profoundly protective, guarding against aging, inflammation, and disease. When insulin and nutrient levels drop during fasting, the body senses a mild, beneficial stress, a signal that triggers autophagy to maintain balance. Cells begin to clean house, removing toxic debris and defective proteins that, if left unchecked, can accumulate and interfere with normal function. These cellular cleanups happen quietly and continuously, but fasting amplifies them, providing the necessary break from constant nutrient overload that often suppresses these natural mechanisms. In this fasting-induced state, the body becomes its own healer, meticulously repairing damage at the cellular level. Autophagy plays a crucial role in preventing many chronic diseases. Damaged mitochondria, the energy factories of our cells, are one of the main sources of oxidative stress. Over time, their inefficiency contributes to aging, fatigue, and metabolic dysfunction. Through autophagy, the body selectively removes these damaged mitochondria and replaces them with new healthy ones, a process known as mitophagy. This rejuvenation of cellular power plants restores energy efficiency, improves metabolism, and enhances endurance. It is no coincidence that people who practice fasting often report higher energy levels, improved focus, and a profound sense of vitality. Their cells are literally functioning more cleanly and efficiently. Another key aspect of autophagy is its role in brain health. The brain consumes a large amount of energy and produces significant metabolic waste. During fasting, autophagy helps clear misfolded proteins such as beta, amyloid, and tau, which are implicated in neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Research shows that fasting stimulates neuronal autophagy, allowing the brain to detoxify and regenerate. This may explain why fasting enhances mental clarity, focus, and mood. The brain becomes more efficient, less inflamed, and more capable of forming new connections. This cellular renewal also contributes to emotional balance, as the nervous system operates with greater coherence and stability. Autophagy is also essential for immune health. The immune system relies on clean, functional cells to detect and respond to threats effectively. When fasting, immune cells undergo autophagic cleansing, removing damaged or aged white blood cells and creating space for new, more efficient immune cells to form. This process strengthens immunity and reduces the likelihood of autoimmune reactions where the body mistakenly attacks its own tissues. In this way, fasting doesn't just protect the body from external threats, but also restores internal harmony, allowing the immune system to function with precision rather than chaos. Inflammation is another area profoundly influenced by autophagy. Chronic inflammation often arises from cellular waste accumulation, damaged proteins, and dysfunctional mitochondria. By clearing these cellular irritants, autophagy reduces inflammatory signals throughout the body. This has far-reaching effects. Joints become less painful, digestion improves, and energy levels rise. It is as if the internal fire of inflammation cools down, bringing relief and restoration from within. The skin also benefits. Fasting often gives people a natural glow as the body is eliminating old cells and replacing them with new healthy tissue. On a genetic level, Fasting and autophagy influence longevity pathways, activating genes that promote survival and resilience. When the body senses a fasting state, it initiates molecular responses designed to protect and preserve cells under stress. These pathways increase antioxidant production, improve DNA repair, and reduce cellular aging. The result is not only a slower rate of aging, but also a higher quality of life as the years progress. The body becomes more resistant to stress, more adaptable, and more efficient at maintaining balance even in less than ideal conditions. Modern lifestyles filled with processed foods, frequent eating, and constant exposure to stressors often suppress autophagy, leading to a buildup of cellular waste that accelerates aging and disease. Fasting reawakens this natural process, reminding the body how to heal itself. Even short fasts, 16 to 18 hours, can trigger measurable increases in autophagic activity. Longer fasts deepen the process further, allowing for deeper repair and regeneration. During these periods, people often notice mental calmness, reduced hunger, and a surprising sense of lightness, both physically and emotionally. These are signs that the body is shifting from consumption to restoration. At its core, autophagy represents balance, the perfect interplay between destruction and creation, between letting go of the old and welcoming the new. Through fasting, we align with this rhythm of renewal, allowing the body to cleanse itself naturally, to heal from within, and to function at its highest potential. Fasting promotes mental clarity and emotional balance by creating an environment in which the brain can function at its most efficient state. When the body is constantly processing food, insulin and glucose levels rise and fall in continuous cycles, leading to fluctuations in energy, attention, and mood. These biochemical ups and downs are often mistaken for stress, fatigue, or anxiety, when in reality, they are the body's natural reaction to an unsteady supply of energy. Fasting breaks this pattern by allowing insulin to drop and the body to begin producing ketones for fuel. Fasting provides the brain with a consistent and clean source of energy. Ketones burn more efficiently than glucose and generate fewer free radicals, which means the brain experiences less oxidative stress and more stable energy. This shift enhances focus, memory, and creativity, giving rise to a state of calm alertness that many people describe as mental clarity. The brain is an organ with high energy demands, and it relies on a constant and balanced energy supply. When fasting begins and the body transitions from using glucose to using fat-derived ketone, the brain is supplied with a steady stream of energy that doesn't depend on frequent meals. Unlike glucose, which spikes and crashes, ketones deliver fuel that is smooth and consistent. This allows neurons to fire more efficiently, improving cognitive performance. Studies have shown that fasting increases levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, a protein that supports the growth and survival of neurons. Higher BDNF levels enhance learning, memory, and overall brain resilience. In this way, fasting not only improves mental clarity in the short term, but also strengthens the brain's long-term ability to adapt and grow. Fasting also reduces mental fog by lowering inflammation in the brain. Chronic inflammation, often caused by poor diet, excessive sugar, and stress, disrupts communication between brain cells and impairs neurotransmitter function. During fasting, the body enters a repair mode that includes reducing inflammatory molecules and clearing out damaged cellular components through autophagy. As inflammation decreases, neural communication improves, allowing thoughts to flow more freely and efficiently. People who fast regularly often describe a feeling of lightness, both in the body and the mind, as if the clutter of constant stimulation has been swept away. This is not an illusion. It is the result of the brain operating with less interference, less noise, and more precision. Emotional balance is another profound effect of fasting. Our emotions are tightly linked to our biochemistry, and what we eat, or don't eat, has a direct impact on our mood. Constant feeding and sugar intake lead to frequent insulin spikes and crashes, which can cause irritability, anxiety, and mood swings. When fasting stabilizes these biochemical fluctuations, emotional states also stabilize. The calmness many people feel while fasting comes from hormonal balance. Insulin, cortisol, dopamine, and serotonin all begin to regulate more smoothly when the body is in a fasted state. As the internal chemical storm quiets, emotional clarity emerges and a sense of peace takes its place. This is why fasting has been part of spiritual and meditative traditions for centuries. It quiets not only the digestive system, but also the mind. Another reason fasting enhances emotional balance is its effect on the parasympathetic nervous system, which governs rest, repair, and relaxation. Constant eating keeps the body in a fed, sympathetic state, alert and active, ready to digest and store energy. When fasting begins, the body shifts its energy toward repair and recovery. Heart rate slows, stress hormones decline, and the mind settles. This shift allows deeper introspection and a greater sense of emotional control. People often report feeling more patient, centered, and grateful during fasting periods. It's not merely psychological, it's a physiological reflection of a more balanced nervous system. The gut and brain also communicate constantly through the gut-brain axis, and fasting improves this communication. The gut microbiome directly influences mood, cognition, and emotional regulation through the production of neurotransmitters such as serotonin and dopamine. When fasting, the gut environment changes. Harmful bacteria that thrive on constant sugar and processed foods diminish, while beneficial bacteria that support mental well-being flourish. This rebalanced microbiome produces cleaner signals to the brain, leading to improved emotional stability and reduced anxiety. The feeling of calm that accompanies fasting is, in part, the result of this gut-brain harmony being restored. Fasting also fosters mindfulness and awareness of the present moment that extends beyond food. When you abstain from eating, you become more aware of habitual patterns, why you eat when you eat, and how you respond to hunger. Hunger becomes a teacher rather than an enemy. You begin to realize that most hunger is not physical, but emotional or psychological, a response to boredom, stress, or routine. By sitting with that feeling rather than immediately satisfying it, you strengthen mental discipline and emotional resilience. This heightened self-awareness often translates into greater emotional control in other areas of life, helping people respond to challenges with calmness instead of reactivity. Neurochemically, fasting increases the production of norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter that enhances alertness, focus, and motivation. This heightened state of awareness contributes to the sense of mental clarity many describe. At the same time, fasting regulates dopamine, the brain's reward chemical, leading to a more balanced sense of satisfaction. Without constant stimulation from food, especially processed foods designed to trigger dopamine spikes, the brain's reward system resets. This reset reduces cravings and addictions, not just to food but to other instant gratifications. The result is a quieter, more stable mind that no longer seeks constant stimulation to feel at ease. The combination of biochemical stability, reduced inflammation, and enhanced neural function creates a state of deep mental clarity and emotional balance that is both peaceful and empowering. Fasting clears the mind of noise and the heart of restlessness, allowing focus, gratitude, and inner calm to naturally arise from within. Fasting reduces inflammation and supports heart health by giving the body a much-needed break from the constant metabolic demands of frequent eating and processed foods. Inflammation is the root of nearly every chronic disease known today, from arthritis and diabetes to cardiovascular disease and even cognitive decline. It is the body's defense mechanism that, when prolonged, turns from protection to destruction. Fasting interrupts this cycle by lowering inflammatory markers, allowing the immune system to recalibrate and the body's tissues to repair themselves without continuous interference from dietary and environmental stressors. When the body is in a fasted state, insulin levels decrease, oxidative stress declines, and the pathways that drive inflammation begin to quiet down, creating the conditions necessary for healing and balance to take place naturally. At the biochemical level, fasting influences several key processes that regulate inflammation. One of the most significant is the reduction of pro-inflammatory cytokines, which are signaling proteins released by immune cells in response to stress or injury. When fasting begins, levels of cytokines such as TNF-alpha and interleukin-6 decrease, reducing systemic inflammation throughout the body. Simultaneously, anti-inflammatory molecules increase, creating a more balanced immune environment. This anti-inflammatory shift not only eases physical symptoms, such as joint pain and swelling, but also protects internal organs and blood vessels from damage caused by chronic inflammation. The effect is systemic and profound, touching every aspect of health, including cardiovascular function, brain performance, and longevity. Fasting also reduces oxidative stress, which is one of the main drivers of inflammation and cardiovascular damage. Oxidative stress occurs when there is an imbalance between free radicals and the body's ability to neutralize them with antioxidants. This imbalance leads to cellular damage, particularly in the blood vessels, where it contributes to plaque buildup, arterial stiffness, and hypertension. During fasting, the body enhances its antioxidant defense mechanisms, upregulating enzymes that neutralize free radicals and repair damaged cells. The reduction in oxidative stress leads to healthier blood vessels, smoother circulation, and more flexible arteries, all of which contribute to improved heart function and reduced risk of cardiovascular disease. Another vital benefit of fasting is its effect on blood lipids. Regular fasting helps lower triglycerides and low-density lipoprotein (LDL) cholesterol, often referred to as bad cholesterol, while increasing high-density lipoprotein (HDL), the good cholesterol. This rebalancing of lipid levels reduces the risk of plaque formation in the arteries, which can lead to heart attacks and strokes. Fasting also improves the quality of LDL particles, making them less likely to oxidize and stick to arterial walls. The result is cleaner, more efficient blood flow, and a heart that functions with less strain. Over time, these changes can have dramatic effects, reversing early stages of atherosclerosis and improving overall cardiovascular resilience. Insulin resistance, which is closely tied to inflammation, plays a major role in heart disease. Elevated insulin levels promote fat storage, inflammation, and vascular damage. When fasting lowers insulin levels, it also reduces the production of advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, which form when sugar molecules bind to proteins and lipids. These AGEs are highly inflammatory and contribute to the stiffening and thickening of blood vessel walls. By reducing their formation, fasting helps preserve vascular elasticity and maintain normal blood pressure. This process restores the integrity of the circulatory system, reducing the stress placed on the heart and preventing long-term complications. The cardiovascular benefits of fasting also extend to improved heart rate variability, HRV, a measure of the balance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. A high HRV is associated with better heart health, emotional regulation, and resilience to stress. When fasting, the body shifts toward parasympathetic dominance, promoting relaxation and reducing heart rate and blood pressure. This shift is therapeutic for the cardiovascular system, allowing it to rest, recover, and operate more efficiently. Fasting gives the heart time to beat in rhythm with the body's natural cycles rather than constantly reacting to spikes in blood sugar, stress hormones, and dietary fats. Inflammation and cardiovascular health are also influenced by the gut microbiome, which fasting helps rebalance. The gut houses trillions of bacteria that communicate with the immune system and influence inflammation throughout the body. An unhealthy diet and constant feeding encourage the growth of bacteria that promote inflammation and produce harmful metabolites. Fasting changes the gut environment, reducing harmful species while supporting the growth of beneficial bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate. These compounds have anti-inflammatory effects, improving endothelial function and supporting healthy cholesterol metabolism. The result is a more balanced gut ecosystem that directly contributes to reduced systemic inflammation and better heart health. Another important factor is fasting's ability to regulate hormonal pathways that affect the cardiovascular system. During fasting, levels of growth hormone increase, supporting fat metabolism and preserving lean muscle mass. Cortisol, the body's stress hormone, becomes more balanced, preventing the chronic elevation that contributes to inflammation and high blood pressure. At the same time, fasting improves nitric oxide production, a molecule that relaxes and dilates blood vessels, enhancing blood flow and lowering pressure. These hormonal adjustments work together to create an internal environment that is protective rather than damaging to the cardiovascular system. The cumulative effects of these physiological processes are not only measurable, but also deeply restorative. Reduced inflammation, improved lipid profiles, enhanced vascular function, and balanced hormonal signaling all contribute to a healthier heart. Fasting provides the body the opportunity to pause, repair, and strengthen its cardiovascular foundation. When the body is not constantly processing food, it can focus on maintaining and restoring vital systems. The result is a heart that works more efficiently, arteries that remain flexible, and blood that flows freely, carrying life, giving oxygen and nutrients to every cell without obstruction or strain. Fasting activates longevity pathways and slows aging by triggering the body's most powerful repair and preservation mechanisms at the cellular and genetic levels. Aging is not simply the passing of time, it is the gradual accumulation of damage. Oxidative stress, inflammation, mitochondrial decline, and the loss of cellular efficiency. Modern lifestyles accelerate this process through constant eating, high insulin levels, and the absence of metabolic rest. Fasting acts as a biological reset, signaling the body to shift from growth and accumulation to repair and maintenance. This shift activates survival pathways that have evolved over millions of years to help humans endure periods without food by becoming stronger, more efficient, and more resilient rather than weaker. One of the key longevity pathways stimulated by fasting involves the activation of AMP, activated protein kinase, or AMPK. This enzyme acts as a cellular energy sensor that turns on when energy levels are low. When activated, AMPK enhances fat burning, increases mitochondrial production, and suppresses inflammatory and aging-related processes. It promotes efficiency, encouraging the body to use stored energy wisely while cleaning up cellular waste. By switching on AMPK through fasting, the body begins to operate in a state of conservation and optimization, using fewer resources to accomplish more. This not only improves metabolic health, but also slows the cellular wear and tear that accompanies aging. Another major mechanism involved in fasting-induced longevity is the inhibition of the mTOR pathway, which is primarily responsible for growth and cell division. When mTOR is constantly active, as it often is in people who eat frequently and consume high amounts of protein and carbohydrates, the body prioritizes growth over repair. Over time, this unchecked growth leads to accelerated aging and increased risk of diseases like cancer. Fasting suppresses mTOR activity, allowing autophagy, the body's cellular recycling process, to dominate. This balance between mTOR and autophagy is crucial for long-term health. Too much growth leads to damage, while too much repair can lead to frailty. Fasting creates the perfect harmony between the two, maintaining vitality while extending lifespan. Fasting also enhances mitochondrial health, which is fundamental to longevity. Mitochondria are the power plants of the cell, converting nutrients into usable energy. As we age, mitochondria become less efficient and produce more free radicals, leading to oxidative damage. Fasting stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of new and more efficient mitochondria, while removing damaged ones through mitophagy. This renewal process improves cellular energy production, reduces oxidative stress, and enhances endurance. Healthier mitochondria mean a slower aging process, more consistent energy levels, and improved resilience to physical and mental stress. Another way fasting influences longevity is through the upregulation of sirtuins, a family of proteins that regulate cellular health, stress resistance, and DNA repair. Sirtuins act as molecular guardians, responding to low-energy states by improving metabolic efficiency and enhancing gene expression that supports longevity. They play a role in reducing inflammation, maintaining telomere length, and improving mitochondrial function. Fasting naturally boosts sirtuin activity, creating conditions similar to those achieved through caloric restriction, which has long been associated with extended lifespan in numerous species. The activation of sirtuins ensures that cells remain youthful, efficient, and resistant to damage. At the genetic level, fasting improves DNA repair mechanisms and reduces the accumulation of mutations that contribute to aging. Cells have built-in processes for maintaining DNA integrity, but these systems are often overwhelmed when constantly fueled by nutrient abundance. Fasting gives cells the opportunity to catch up on repair work, correcting errors and eliminating cells that are too damaged to function properly. This process prevents the propagation of faulty genetic material and protects against age-related diseases such as cancer and neurodegeneration. It is as though fasting grants the body time to perform quality control, ensuring that only the healthiest cells continue to replicate and thrive. Hormonal balance also plays a critical role in longevity, and fasting restores it naturally. Growth hormone levels rise significantly during fasting, promoting fat metabolism, muscle preservation, and tissue repair. Meanwhile, insulin-like growth factor 1's IGF-1 levels decrease, reducing the stimulation of growth pathways associated with accelerated aging. This hormonal environment mirrors the conditions found in individuals with extended lifespans: low insulin, low IGF-1, and periodic surges of growth hormone for repair. The body learns to thrive under mild stress, building strength through adaptation, a process known as hormesis. This principle explains why short, controlled stressors like fasting, exercise, or cold exposure make the body stronger over time rather than weaker. Fasting also affects inflammation, one of the most significant drivers of aging. Chronic low-grade inflammation accelerates the breakdown of tissues and the onset of age-related diseases. By lowering inflammatory cytokines and reducing oxidative damage, fasting quiets this internal fire. Reduced inflammation not only slows aging at the cellular level, but also keeps organs like the heart, brain, and liver functioning optimally for longer. The immune system becomes more efficient, clearing out senescent cells, old, dysfunctional cells that no longer divide but continue to release harmful substances. Removing these senescent cells through autophagy and fasting rejuvenates tissues and supports healthy regeneration. The cognitive benefits of fasting are also closely tied to longevity. Fasting promotes the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factors, BDNF, a protein that supports the growth of new neurons and the protection of existing ones. Higher BDNF levels improve memory, learning, and mental resilience. The combination of increased ketone production, enhanced mitochondrial efficiency, and reduced oxidative stress creates a brain environment resistant to aging. This protection against cognitive decline allows individuals to maintain clarity, focus, and emotional stability as they age, contributing to both lifespan and health span. The years lived in good health. On a broader scale, fasting introduces the concept of biological efficiency. When the body learns to function with less, it becomes more refined and selective in its use of resources. Energy is no longer wasted on unnecessary processes. Instead, it is directed toward maintaining vital functions. This optimization mirrors nature's principle of survival through efficiency. Systems that waste energy do not last, while those that adapt and conserve endure. Fasting aligns human biology with this timeless law of balance and conservation, extending life not just in years, but in quality, vitality, and purpose. True health comes from periods of nourishment and abstinence, a rhythm that mirrors the natural cycles of life itself. The body is designed to operate in balance. Periods of feeding followed by periods of rest, activity balanced with recovery, stimulation followed by stillness. Yet modern living has erased this balance, replacing natural rhythms with constant availability and consumption. We eat not because we are hungry, but because food is convenient, pleasurable, or habitual. The absence of fasting in daily life has disrupted the body's natural intelligence, leading to fatigue, disease, and emotional instability. True health is not about constant intake. It is about alignment with the body's biological clock, allowing it to repair, reset, and rejuvenate through cycles of nourishment and abstinence. When we nourish the body with real, whole foods, we provide it with the raw materials it needs to function. Vitamins, minerals, proteins, fats, and phytonutrients that sustain energy and repair tissues. But when nourishment is continuous and unbalanced, the body becomes overloaded. The digestive system, meant to work intermittently, becomes overactive, forcing the pancreas, liver, and intestines to work endlessly. This constant processing leaves little energy for cellular repair, detoxification, or regeneration. By integrating periods of abstinence, such as fasting, we give these systems a chance to rest and recover. During these pauses, energy is redirected toward healing rather than digestion, allowing the body to cleanse and restore itself naturally. In these moments of abstinence, the body activates processes that are dormant during constant feeding. Insulin levels fall, triggering the release of stored energy from fat cells. Autophagy, the body's internal cleaning mechanism, begins to clear out damaged cells and recycle them into new, healthy ones. The immune system recalibrates, inflammation subsides, and the brain becomes sharper. This rhythm of fasting and feeding mirrors the cycles of nature. Day and night, growth and decay, summer and winter. Everything in nature thrives through cycles, and so does the human body. When we respect these cycles, health becomes effortless because it aligns with our biological design. Periods of nourishment are equally essential. Fasting alone is not the answer. It is the balance between eating and not eating that creates health. When we break a fast, the body is highly receptive to nutrients, and the quality of those nutrients determines how effectively the body rebuilds itself. Whole, unprocessed foods rich in fiber, antioxidants, and healthy fats provide the building blocks for strong cells and balanced hormones. This is the time for nourishment, not indulgence. Eating mindfully after fasting strengthens the connection between body and mind, teaching us to appreciate food for its role as medicine and energy rather than comfort or distraction. True health extends beyond the physical. It encompasses emotional and spiritual well-being. Periods of abstinence quiet the mind, reduce cravings, and reveal how often food is used to fill emotional voids. When fasting, one becomes aware of the difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger. This awareness brings emotional freedom, a realization that we are not controlled by our impulses but guided by conscious choice. The calmness that arises during fasting is a reflection of inner balance. Just as the body cleanses itself of toxins, the mind releases attachments, and the spirit experiences clarity. In this state, food becomes sacred, gratitude deepens, and every meal becomes a conscious act of nourishment rather than consumption. The relationship between nourishment and abstinence also influences longevity. When the body experiences alternating periods of feeding and fasting, it adapts through hormesis, the principle that mild stress makes the organism stronger. Fasting is a form of beneficial stress that teaches the body resilience. It triggers the release of growth hormone, enhances mitochondrial function, and strengthens cellular repair mechanisms. When nourishment follows, the body uses these adaptive improvements to rebuild more efficiently. This alternating rhythm enhances vitality and longevity, creating a body that is flexible, adaptive, and resistant to disease. Without abstinence, the body becomes sluggish and overburdened. Without nourishment, it becomes weak and deprived. Health lies in the harmony of the two. The digestive system, like every other organ, requires rest to function optimally. Constant eating leads to metabolic overload, bloating, and sluggishness, while fasting rejuvenates the gut lining and supports a balanced microbiome. Beneficial gut bacteria thrive when given time to rest and regenerate, leading to better digestion, improved immunity, and enhanced mood. This connection between the gut and brain, often called the gut-brain axis, means that periods of abstinence improve not only physical health, but also mental clarity and emotional stability. By creating space in the digestive system, fasting also creates space in the mind. Culturally, humans have always understood the importance of fasting. Ancient traditions in every civilization, from Ayurveda to Greek philosophy to spiritual practices in Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism, recognize the power of abstinence. Fasting was never merely about food, it was a way to cleanse the body, discipline the mind, and elevate the spirit. Modern science is now confirming what ancient wisdom knew intuitively, that true health requires both giving and withholding, consuming and conserving. When these forces are balanced, the body operates with efficiency, the mind becomes still, and the spirit feels nourished. The modern world, with its abundance of food and information, has forgotten the value of emptiness. Yet it is in emptiness that growth begins, in silence that wisdom arises, and in fasting that healing unfolds. The body, when allowed to alternate between nourishment and abstinence, becomes self-regulating. It no longer depends on external fixes to feel balanced because its internal systems are synchronized. This natural rhythm restores vitality, mental peace, and emotional strength, creating health that radiates from within, sustained not by excess, but by balance.